In the quiet town of Speedway, Indiana, a horrific event unfolded in 1978 that remains shrouded in mystery to this day. A typical night turned into a nightmare when 4 young employees at a local burger chef restaurant vanished without a trace. Jane Freet, Daniel Davis, Mark Flemons, and Ruth Ellen Shelton. Their names are forever etched in the annals of true crime, their lives tragically cut short in a case that continues to baffle investigators. Initially, it seemed like a petty theft gone wrong. But as the clock ticked on, it became apparent that this was far more than a simple robbery. It was a case of robbery, kidnapping, and murder, a chilling crime that sent shockwaves through the small community. The crime scene, a popular fast food joint, was mishandled in the initial stages of the investigation. A crucial window of opportunity was lost, and no physical evidence was collected. The bodies of the victims were later found in a secluded wooded area, brutally dispatched by gunshots, stabbings, or bludgeoning. The motive? A botched robbery, possibly initiated by one of the victims recognizing the perpetrators. There were whispers of suspicious men lurking outside the restaurant, but without substantial evidence, no arrests were made. Numerous leads were pursued, suspects were questioned, and in 1984, an inmate named Donald Forrester confessed to the grisly crime. But doubts lingered about his confession and no weapon was ever recovered. As we delve into this chilling case, remember these were real people whose lives were brutally taken in a mystery that continues to haunt the small town of Speedway. On the night of November 17, 1978, a seemingly ordinary evening would take a horrifying turn. That night, the Speedway, Indiana burger chef was buzzing with activity as it usually was. The 4 young employees, Jane Freet, Daniel Davis, Mark Flemons, and Ruth Ellen Shelton, were going about their tasks, unaware of the chilling events about to unfold. As the evening wore on, patrons came and went. The glow of the restaurant became a beacon in the darkening night. Eyewitnesses recall seeing suspicious men lurking outside the restaurant. Their presence, initially brushed off as just another oddity of the night, would later become a crucial piece of this unsolved puzzle. A petty theft was thought to be the motive at first, but as the details unfurled, it became clear that this was far more sinister. The night was fraught with an unsettling silence, a silence that held within it a secret that would shock the town in the days to come. As the last customer left and the lights dimmed, the restaurant stood in eerie solitude. The employees, oblivious to the danger lurking around them, continued their closing duties, their laughter and casual banter filling the empty establishment. The clock ticked on, each passing minute taking us closer to the moment when their lives would be inexplicably and brutally cut short. The night grew darker and colder, but inside the burger chef, the employees remained, locked in what would become their final hours. They were unaware of the tragic script that fate had written for them, a script that would leave a permanent mark on the town of Speedway, Indiana. One can only imagine the fear and confusion that must have gripped them as the reality of their situation set in. We can only speculate about the final moments that transpired within those walls, moments that would set in motion a chain of events leading to one of the most perplexing and tragic crimes in Indiana's history. As the restaurant closed, no one could have imagined the grim fate that awaited these young workers. Their story serves as a chilling reminder of the unpredictability of life and the enduring mystery of the unsolved burger chef murders. In the cold light of dawn, a macabre scene unfolded in a remote wooded area. It was here where the grim fate of the missing burger chef employees was laid bare. 4 young lives, brutally extinguished in the prime of their lives. Each victim met a chilling end, shot, stabbed, or bludgeoned, the violence of their final moments a stark contrast to the quiet serenity of the woodland setting. The victims were identified as Jane Freet, Daniel Davis, Mark Flemons, and Ruth Ellen Shelton. Their bodies were found scattered, discarded without regard, a haunting testament to the brutal and senseless nature of this crime. The initial belief was that this was a case of petty theft gone horribly wrong, but the savagery of the crime pointed to something far more sinister. As investigators descended upon the scene, the magnitude of the tragedy began to sink in. However, in their haste and shock, critical errors were made. The crime scene, a vital source of evidence, was mishandled. Vital clues that could have led to the perpetrators were lost, forever obscured by the passage of time and human error. No physical evidence was collected, a misstep that would greatly hinder the investigation and ultimately the pursuit of justice. The community of Speedway, Indiana was left reeling. A pall of fear and uncertainty descended on the town. casting long shadows on the familiar streets and storefronts. The local burger chef, once a place of community and camaraderie, was now a grim reminder of a monstrous act of violence. A petty theft had escalated into a gruesome quadruple murder, leaving the Speedway community in shock. With a bungled crime scene and high emotions, the investigation into the burger chef murders was fraught with challenges. From the onset, the authorities had their work cut out for them. The crime scene had been disturbed, and there was little physical evidence to work with. This was a case that would rely heavily on witness testimonies and good old-fashioned detective work. Eyewitness accounts painted a chilling picture. Suspicious men were spotted outside the restaurant, suggesting a possible reconnaissance before the crime. The leads poured in, and the police followed them all, from ex-cons to local troublemakers. But the lack of concrete evidence was a constant stumbling block, and no arrests were made. Then, in 1984, a new lead emerged. An inmate named Donald Forrester confessed to his involvement in the murders. He even led police to the crime scene, a move that suggested a certain degree of familiarity with the case. But again, the lack of physical evidence raised doubts. No weapon was found, and there were questions about the veracity of Forrester's confession. Was it a genuine admission of guilt or a desperate bid for attention from a man behind bars? As for the motive, the investigators zeroed in on a botched robbery. The theory was that one of the victims might have recognized the perpetrators, leading to the tragic sequence of events. But like so many aspects of this case, it remained a theory, unproven and left hanging in the air. The investigation into the burger chef murders was an uphill battle, a battle against time, against the lack of evidence, and against the sheer brutality of the crime. Every lead seemed to loop back on itself, every suspect ended up a dead end, and every theory only added to the mystery. Despite tireless efforts, the case grew cold, leaving more questions than answers. Over 4 decades later, the burger chef murders remain one of Indiana's most infamous unsolved cases. The shockwaves of this tragic event continue to reverberate through the Speedway community, leaving a lasting impact that's felt even today. The horrifying incident at the once bustling Burger Chef restaurant, where 4 young employees were brutally taken from us, has become a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk in even the most unsuspecting places. The memory of Jane Freet, Daniel Davis, Mark Flemons, and Ruth Ellen Shelton, the victims of this heinous crime, still lingers in the hearts of those who knew them, a stark reminder of the life they could have lived. Yet, amidst the sorrow and the unanswered questions, there's an unwavering determination in the community. A determination to find answers, to bring justice for Jane, Daniel, Mark, and Ruth. The case, though cold, is not forgotten. Advances in forensic science have rekindled hope for a possible breakthrough, and the diligent efforts of investigators, both past and present, serve as a beacon of light in this enduring darkness. Let's not forget the lessons this tragic event has taught us. The Burger Chef murders have underscored the importance of meticulous crime scene investigation, of preserving evidence, and of the dogged pursuit of justice no matter how much time has passed. It's a case that shaped the practices of law enforcement in Speedway and beyond, and its influence can be seen in the thorough investigations of today. As we remember those lost, we continue to hope for answers in this haunting tale of a night that turned from ordinary to tragic, forever marking the history of Speedway, Indiana. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any comments on the case, please leave them in the comments section. If you have information that could help solve this case, please reach out to Indiana State Police at 317-899-8577 or 1-800-582-8440.